Welcome to the Artist Index. I'm Scott Bishop, your host for this episode. I'm a New Bedford-based singer, songwriter, and sound sculptor making music under the name Scapegoat. I also present the live concert series, Unexpected Music, which features South Coast musicians performing in non-traditional performing spaces around New Bedford. The In Focus podcasts are generously sponsored in part by Heavenly Spirits Importers and funded in part with grants from the New Bedford Cultural Council and the Fairhaven Cultural Council, local agency supported by the Mass Cultural Council, a state agency. I think this is a first for the Artist Index. This is usually a one-on-one conversation, but right now we are talking to a whole band, and that band is Immuter, spelled I-M-M-U-T-E-R. Immuter is an American indie band from the south coast of Massachusetts that fuses elements of classic rock with the sound of influential modern acts such as Muse, The Strokes, and Radiohead. The band frequents colleges and venues throughout the East Coast and has played alongside performers such as Jeremy Zucker and The Concept. And now I'd like to invite the individuals in the band to introduce themselves and talk a little bit about themselves and their respective roles in the band. So let's start with Adam.
What's up, everybody? I'm Adam. I'm the bass player and backup vocals for the band. Been playing music for my entire life, and for my profession, besides being a musician, I also teach music.
What's up, guys? I'm Ross. I'm the drummer and I do backup vocals. I've been playing drums for 20 years. And other than that, I'm a union foreman for a fence company.
How's it going? I'm Daniel Vasquez. I don't know how I got here today. These guys just put a bag over my head and dragged me in. I'm the lead singer and play rhythm guitar.
Hey guys, I'm Dan Hurley. I play lead guitar for Immuter. And outside of that, I do HVAC work in Cape Cod.
You know, this is probably the most obvious, annoying question, which is what are the origins of the band name Immuter?
All right. Well, I guess I'll take the reins on that one. To be honest, I had like a list of like 60 cool words that I remember I went up on some website for, because I was trying to think of band names, because I had some songs that I thought would be cool, and you know, me and Ross over here had worked on some songs and stuff. This is years ago now, probably 6 years ago.
Oh, Jesus.
6, 8 years ago. And so I went to some random website where they had cool sounding words, and one of them was immute, and that means to change or transform. And I thought, okay, well, you know, a lot of our music has to do with styles that change, and like from one song to another, you're not going to get, you know, the same old. It's not like you can put us in like we're the blues or, you know, or jazz or something like that. We got a lot for a lot of different people, and so I thought immute, that's cool. And then what's somebody who changes something? I guess I would be an immuter. So I just, you know, called it Immuter, and you know, that was it. That was that.
And how long have you been together?
It depends. Like, I think me and Ross, yeah, we were neighbors. We grew up together, and so
we basically learned our instruments like growing up.
Yeah.
And then we kind of, you know, jammed together, and then went from jamming to actually taking it seriously. And then, like I said, we've been neighbors for like 18 years. So fast forward like till 3 years ago, we were fortunate enough to get Hurley in the band. And then 2 years ago, unfortunately, no.
Well, then now my question is for Dan and Adam. What's it like to jump into a band with two guys who've been together for so long?
I'll go first because I joined first. When I joined the band, they had some songs that were already out, and I was a fan of the band before I joined. So going into it, I mean, trying out for the band, I was certain I wanted to be in the band because I loved the, you know, first 3 songs I heard, and we could just kind of hit it off from there the first day. But yeah, this is by far the most interesting band I've been in, and I know for a couple of the guys in the band, it's their first band experience, but like for me, I was in 8 bands before I joined the Immuter, so by far this is the best, and I couldn't ask for any you know, better group of guys to do it with. So
for me, I got bullied off the rip. Ross.
Well, hold on, because he walked in. Well, now the backstory is he walked in with a full suit on, like a big wool coat.
His very first day.
His first day at practice coming here. He's just coming to show us, like, just a jam. Comes in with a full suit, wool coat, French painter's hat. I
It's
literally.
a beret.
So whatever. I didn't know the technical name. I would not. So he walks downstairs and I'm like, I look at Danny. I'm like, this is not gonna work. Not being mean. I'm just saying, like, I judged the book by its cover because honestly, he's one of my best friends today, and like I said, we're definitely happy to have him in the band. But so don't say I bullied you. There was a reason behind that.
Yeah.
Now that I cut you off.
So anyway, yeah, like I said, bullied and it hasn't stopped. But no, I remember going downstairs, and at the time, the Mr. Vasquez, the father, was he was the bass player, and he had a bunch of chord charts for all the songs. And the first song that we played was, at the time, it was called "It Almost." I guess now it's "Someone," right?
Yeah.
I still use the original names.
Punch Drunk Lullabies. Well, it's because we practice in my basement. We have like a little setup downstairs in my basement where we keep all of the instruments and stuff. So we have like a nice little space to practice. So Adam goes downstairs and
So I just looked at the chord charts and everything, and I played it, and it was really cool. I remember on the spot, I changed a few things for the first song that we played together, which was, looking back, that was kind of like, I was kind of like overstepping a little bit, but whatever, it ended up working out anyway.
To this day, he oversteps.
Yeah, I do. That's how they treat me.
to this day we ask him to change it back, but we'll see.
But yeah, no, it was really cool. I'm like Hurley. I wasn't in 8 bands, but I was in a few bands prior to this one, and like you said, it's like the best one that I've landed in as well. So it's kind of just worked out for the better.
And the band is based around Dan Vasquez's songs, right?
Well, a lot of the songs I had already written before everybody came in. Like there's a lot of them now that we were working on together and stuff. So we, besides
the handful that me and Danny had worked on together, Danny kind of takes that role. The lyrics are all his, but now that it's the 4 of us, what he's got as a bass line, we kind of take out and add each other. We add each own part. And
usually like I kind of come up with like the bones, like basic melodies, basic rhythms, and then I kind of pass it around, and everybody else puts their feel on it, puts their vibe on it, and then that's kind of how we can mold something really cool.
So it becomes more of a group writing effort now as opposed to before where, you and Ross were working on songs and then Adam and Dan came in later. Now it's like, okay, I've got an idea. Let's riff on this. You guys come together with the music, but melody and lyrics are still your domain, Dan.
Yeah. Anything vocals, I think is me. And then, I think the rest of it is like, I might have like some guitar parts that I thought sounded cool or interesting. And maybe I'll tell Ross like, hey, like, give me something like fast paced or whatever, but like everybody's really coming up with their own stuff and kind of adding to it. So it's definitely a collaborative effort, I think, at this point.
At this point, how much of the songwriting is more band oriented versus the stuff that you were doing before that was really you and Ross, and bringing Adam and Dan in after?
Yeah, I would say it's pretty split 4 ways now. Be like Vasquez said, like, he wouldn't write all the songs. He'll write like a majority of a song, and he'll just give us, like you said, the bones to it. But Ross will completely redo the drum parts to what he thinks fits, and I'll redo the bass parts and everything. I'll figure out my own harmonies if I'm doing any backup vocals for like live performances. And Hurley, he's throwing in his own ideas and like maybe like change the order of the progression, what I'm saying?
Effects, dude. Hurley's wicked good. With like the effect pedal, the pedals and everything like that.
Yeah, it's insane. So
that's something I'd love to hear about from Hurley and Vasquez, because you're both terrific guitar players and you also have distinct sounds and real interesting sonic palette. How did you develop your respective palettes, and how do you play off each other in the band?
Yeah, so I'm Hurley. I'll go first. I'm really used to playing Fenders, like Tellys and Strats. I don't know. I guess I've collected pedals just over the years, and whether I bought them or other people bought them, I think the majority of the ones that I own are from other people just giving me pedals, and I'm just like, okay, well, I'll try these out. And
where do I meet those people? I want people to give me pedals.
Yeah, well, half of them are my brothers. I got a lot of brothers. So
got 30 brothers.
Oh yeah, he's got a small army back at us.
It's like a militia. So I think I'm most notably known for my wah and my delay sound.
And that thing he does that we end with the same song every show. And
yeah,
if you ever get a chance to see us, it's some crazy stuff.
Yeah, the Immuter is a great song. We always usually end every show with that as like an encore or the very last song. It starts off with just, a very cool thing that's not like in the studio version at all, where we just kind of jam for like a, half minute to a minute. And I do this crazy effects thing on my pedal where I take my delay and I kind of just, it's kind of trial and error and just kind of twist the knobs around and it makes this really cool effect. Kind of just lets the song, I don't know, do its, and that, I don't know.
Yeah, starts
it up,
really
yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I used to spend just like hours and hours a day on a computer, just writing songs and coming up with like cool sounds, things that I thought I could maybe work a song around. And there's a lot of different like effects. Like I would always be downloading new plugins and new effects and trying to come up with things that I never heard before. And then a lot of those end up getting put in the songs, and so my pedals reflect the fact that I have to come up with some way of replicating the weird sounds I come up with on a computer. So I have to now find some pedal that can actually do that thing, and it leads to some pretty crazy combinations of pedal works and weird technical like knob adjustments on as far as what I need to get for specific sounds. And how it all comes together is pretty cool, but it's just pretty much, I think, based on that, discovery, that journey of me always trying to find a sound I've never heard before.
Very cool. And then Ross, Adam, I mean, how do you look at your roles in terms of like as the foundation rhythmically? When you're working on a song, what are you looking to do as a rhythm section to bring that song to fruition?
I mean, for me, like, it's not always about something crazy or something over the top. Nothing, you just got to play what makes the song work. And I think a lot of the times, like, people have, like, I don't know, trouble, like, realizing it's not kind of what's best for you. It's just what's best for, like, the song. So I just figure out what works. I've been playing for 20 years. I'm only 25. I'm definitely blessed. I've started at such a young age, and I actually like never stopped. Like a lot of kids, they get into high school and they find other stuff that they like to do, and it's just crazy how like me and Danny grew up together. We learned our instruments together, and we both never gave up on it. So what turned from fun has kind of turned into this. And like I said, just for Adam's awesome, dude. We always be jamming out on stage, and like together we hold it down. He thinks of something cool, I think of something cool. Yeah. And
Ross is understating it though, because Ross is basically, as far as a drummer goes, it's basically like he's like a Ferrari, but that stays the speed limit.
Yeah,
like
that's a good analogy. I like that one.
Like if I asked Ross to give me the craziest drum fill, drum solo, whatever, he could do it, but he wouldn't. I think the very first time
they got me to play my first solo this past Saturday.
After years.
But I mean, like I say, what to me means more is like I'm gonna do what fits the best for all of us. You know what I mean? Like, yes, you could. There's times to show off, and you can add stuff in your own way, but I just think like together, if you can make the song work for what it suits it the best, and that's what I try to do all the time. I try to figure out what would I like to hear in this song, how would I like it. And like I took lessons for a while, but I taught myself a lot of the stuff. I can't read music. I don't do nothing. So I think honestly, me and Danny, like I can't read music. I don't know any music theory. I took lessons for 7-8 years, but after that I kind of took it on my own. And I think like creatively, not knowing how to read music, all doing it by ear, it's at least for my purpose on the drums, I think it's made me a better musician, because I'm not saying it's bad to read music or anything like that, but a lot of people stick to the script, and I always like to change it. I never play something twice the same. And like I say, but most importantly for my role, it's just kind of what putting in its place what needs to fit best for the song.
Got it. And Adam, you're like kind of the melodic bridge between rhythm and guitar. So you're helping maintain rhythm, but you're also underpinning the guitar and the melody. How do you approach your role in the band?
So one thing I've always hated in any music that I listen to is I just hated like just quarter note root notes on bass. And I've been like the biggest fan of the Chili Peppers like my entire life, and seeing especially their later albums, all of the harmonies that Flea was throwing on, it kind of like inspired me to be a little bit more like that. And I like you said, I try to bridge it, on someone where it's just dun dun but then I do like a quick little like triplet run at the end of the measure, or on Passerby. On the chorus, I'll throw in like a little melody and everything. And basically, like, I try and, I don't want to leave too much of like the rhythm, but I do want to add something a little extra just so that it kind of flares out a little bit. I know you guys are like laughing at that.
The constant bullying continues.
Yeah.
I just, the bass doesn't have to be just strictly rhythm. Like sometimes bass can be lead. Besides like Flea, like I listen to Primus, I listen to Korn, where Korn has very interesting harmonies and everything. And I just think that I've studied music for a long time, and I understand a lot of harmonies and everything and how it can all pan out. So I try and just do a little bit extra without it being too flashy, but not too boring.
Well, you cited some influences there, Adam. I'd like to go around the table, but Adam, any other bass influences or just general music influences, particularly that inform you inside of the band?
So definitely Victor Wooten for bass players, the Chili Peppers in general, but I think for the last like 3-4 albums, Flea's been carrying the band. Anything that's like screaming into a mic, But I also grew up on a lot of hip hop and stuff, so I, like. People sleep on how awesome the Wu-Tang's like 36 chambers bass lines are, ODB's single stuff, the bass lines from that I drew a lot of inspiration from. Fat Pun. Just like pretty much anything that coincidentally just has like a slept on bass. I've always been like into that kind of stuff.
And Ross, who are your key drum influences?
So I mean, obviously the typical, everybody's gonna say, Neil Peart. They're gonna say the big names. My favorite drummer, I got 2 of them. One's like a gospel hip hop drummer. His name's Tony Royster Jr. And then my other favorite drummer is actually the drummer from Journey, not Steve Smith, but Dean Castronovo. He took over for Steve Smith in the late '90s. All those guys like really inspired me to, take the drums and do something of my own with it. Those dudes are literally, I made drums a passion. Hopefully one day I could do this, for a full-time position, as everybody would love to. But no, for inspirations, like of course Neil Peart, awesome. But mainly Dean Castronovo and Tony Royster. And like I said, they're just so creative in their own way. Tony Royster taught himself how to play drums. And it's a similar story. And my favorite group was Journey growing up. And before Dean Castronovo, when he was growing up, that was his favorite band, and he got to play for them. So it's like never give up on your dreams, and hopefully one day. And if Journey ever needed somebody, I could play all 40 songs.
Let's get the word out. Dan Vasquez, your influences: guitar, vocals, songwriting.
So growing up, the first band I liked was Boston. That was the first band where I was like, I like a band. It was Boston. And then shortly after, my dad played Eruption by Van Halen, and I asked him how many guitarists were playing during that song, and he said 1, and then my mind exploded as it does when one hears Eruption. And so I immediately tried to immerse myself in anything that had to do with Van Halen. And so for years he was really big, but that was mainly like guitar playing. As far as like songwriting and melodies and stuff like that, it wasn't until I got a little older and I started getting into indie music, where it was like things like Muse and Radiohead and even like the Pixies, just stuff like that, where sounds became interesting, like new styles became interesting, new patterns became interesting. And I remember listening to like OK Computer or In Rainbows by Radiohead, and just like the first time just not knowing what I was going to hear next. And I always really loved that feeling of not knowing where a song was going to take you. So that's, I'd say that if I right now, I'd say my number one king is Tom York in Radiohead. But for everything else, I think Van Halen's definitely up there. You know, like I said, Muse, even Coldplay.
Dan Hurley, what about your influences on guitar?
Well, I feel like it's kind of cool that I went last, because I feel like I bridged the gap between like everybody's different music tastes in the band. And I kind of, I like the Chili Peppers a lot, which is really, kind of, similar to like Adam's taste. And then, with Ross, he really liked a lot of classic rock in the 70s and 80s. And I grew up listening to, loving Aerosmith and Journey. And, my dad went to school with Steve Smith, the drummer, at, one point, and he was best friends with him. So he got to go to all the shows for Journey and stuff like that. So I had a lot of, influences from my parents growing up music wise. And then when I became a guitar player, I started liking a lot of like bands with two guitarists in them that were like kind of indie alternative rock. So I like a lot of the Strokes and Radiohead. And so that kind of coincides with like what Danny likes to listen to too. So, it's funny. I kind of, I can talk to anybody in the band or listen to anybody's music in the band, and we all,
Hurley's the music guy.
I really
am. Hurley will tell you the order of an album that came out in 1971, what year they came out, who produced it, and who wrote it, and how much the CD cost.
Yeah, and he'll tell you what the guy was wearing when he recorded.
The room smelled like mahogany.
So you're the encyclopedia, Dan.
I kind of am, yeah. Guitar style wise, I feel like I'm really bluesy when it comes to soloing, and I think a lot of John Mayer. He makes a lot of my favorite guitar solos that I love to listen to on repeat, and whether they're like impressive or just kind of doing the song justice, I don't know what it is, but I really think he's one.
Would you say that you're
one of the best?
Would you say that you're bluesy, or you just make everybody else feel down, feel bad?
Feel bad. Yeah, I really put everybody else down. I'm that bluesy guitarist. I'm like I'm the George Harrison of the band.
I think the thing that people are going to pick up on hearing this conversation is that you guys have great camaraderie and goof on each other. I mean, has that been it? Has that been the case from day one? I mean, you got two guys here with Ross and Dan who've you guys have been together for nearly 20 years.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I call his father my dad.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I in anything in life, just daily life, work life with the band, I don't think anybody can get through life without a laugh or two. And I mean, I've always, there's time to be serious, but for a majority of the time, it's all harmless fun, and it keeps everybody on their toes, and it really it does. It adds life. You can't go a day without laughing or smiling. Like, it really does. It brings this from a business standpoint. We're a family, you know what I mean? So messing around is nothing.
It's all fun.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the day that I get to laugh.
Poor Adam.
Sign him up, because that was the funniest thing he's ever said.
So I can hear why you guys are naturals to work with Paul Santos. How did that come about?
Oh, yikes. All right. So
our actual work lives, was not able to provide him. He's trying to do a show, and without work, you never know if it's going to be a long day. Like I said, I'm in construction. Hurley's in HVAC, so sometimes my concrete comes late. Sometimes he gets stuck at work. He works far.
Yep.
I
got 2 jobs. I'm in school.
He's in school. He's got 2 jobs. He works in Hyannis for the studio. So it was just time-wise, it wasn't good. And Paul needed somebody who could be there. And shout out Paul, because he's done a lot for us. And we're actually going to be back on in next year. We're going to be a guest, but just for every week, it's just for our lives right now. It's too much for us.
We love doing it though. It was a lot of fun. Between him, Chops, and Casey, you never really knew what you were gonna get, and it was also cool to meet a lot of the the other talent who was up there. Like you, that was really fun.
That was fun.
And but yeah, no, it's always, and like I said, we're always messing around. We're here to have a good time, and yeah, the show.
This isn't a business. This is a family. In the end of the day, so
yeah. We love doing it though. It was a lot of fun. Between him, Chops, and Casey, like you never really knew what you were gonna get. And it was also cool to meet a lot of the other talent who was up there, like you. It was really fun.
That was fun.
And but yeah, no, it's always, and like I said, we're always messing around. We're here to have a good time, and yeah, the show.
This isn't a business. This is a family. In the end of the day, so
yeah.
And given all those commitments you guys have, I mean, how do you make it work in terms of coming together, practice, doing gigs, recording? Because you've all got huge commitments that take you in all kinds of different directions.
Well, recently we put up a Google Calendar for the band so we could all keep track of putting up with shows and times practice and stuff like that.
And shows with like our schedules. I mean, weekends are better. I know Adam works on Saturdays, but for late nights, he's not working late nights. I don't work weekends. Hurley doesn't work weekends. And I know Danny, he's in school and stuff, but usually he can work during the day. So for shows, it's not bad. We do try to get 1 to 2 like practice / rehearsals in. Sometimes we go 2-3 weeks without practicing, but we have such good chemistry at this point. And honestly, I mean, I'm not speaking for myself, but for everybody else, these dudes are so talented. And in the end of the day, you take 3 weeks off. It's not like we have to really shake the rust off. We're so tight as a band.
Not 3 weeks off. We always have something to do.
For sure, but if we don't get practice 1 week, or we do a show 1 week instead of practice, no matter what, these guys.
We've been playing our songs so long too that
one of our songs on the EP we wrote in like 2014.
Yeah, I mean,
it's changed 3 times over.
Basically, my nightmares right now are me waking up and I just missed a note. You know what I mean? That's like I'll wake up shaking in a full sweat because I missed a note in one of my songs. But yeah, no, we all have it down to pretty much a science, I think, at this point. And most of the time that we spend practicing is really like doing new things, like picking up new songs, trying to learn new songs, or like after the holidays, we'll probably take a couple weeks off over the holidays, and then we'll probably spend a couple of days practicing just to get our fingers warm. But yeah, the practicing isn't too demanding for us, I'd say.
Because you have that shared knowledge and you have those songs you all know so well together that you just kind of slide right back into it.
Yeah, and we're all, I'm super lucky to, be in a band with such talented guys who I don't really need, I don't need to tell anybody go home and work on something. It's solved right then and there.
And I think for being just for being all of us, I mean, Danny's the oldest, I'm the youngest, but we're all from, 25 to 28. And I think, all of us, all on our own, have each played for almost 20 years collectively. And I mean, to say that and to like the music that we listen to and stuff like that, I mean, it's been so good that none of us have given up on, like I said, sometimes life gets busy and people give up an instrument that they played and they try to pick it back up 5 years later, and it's just not the same. Fortunately, we've all stuck with, what we love, and everybody's so talented. Yeah, like I said, if we have a week off, it's not like, oh God, we got to get back in there. Like I say, everybody needs to practice. Everybody can improve on something. But in the end of the day, it's nice. And like I say, when it's a family, not a business, that goes also to the playing. We're so comfortable with each other that, we can change things up, or we can end a song differently on the spot or something.
Yeah,
it's just good chemistry.
Yeah, one thing we just started doing recently was muting Adam's mic. So
they mute my mic, so I'm still the loudest person in the band.
He only knows we muted it because when he goes to talk to the crowd, there's nothing.
Yeah.
But we keep it fun though, because even if we have a set list for a show, we'll
probably pull 12 audibles in one show.
But yeah, we've done that. We've called
especially lately.
Yeah.
You kind of just feel what the crowd's want. Right. It's nice to know everybody's on the same page. It's like, hey, you want to play this? It's not like, damn, I don't want to play it. It's like, yeah, let's do it. You know what I mean? Everybody at some point comes up with something, and it's so cool how most of the time we can agree on everything. But in life, nobody can ever agree on everything. But for the most part,
but it's fun because it keeps you on your toes. It keeps it fun and creative. It's not like, you know, a routine of like, okay, here's the next song, here's the next song, here's the next song. It's like, well, hey, what do you feel like doing this one? All right, yeah, let's do that one. And then it turns out to be a great time. And so yeah,
and definitely like because we're playing a lot of like local gigs, and we're doing, you know, we still always touch on our music, coming up with new stuff. Sometimes, I mean, they'll tune their guitars and we'll start jamming to something, and that will turn into one of our next songs. Just randomly playing something. Just, hey, he's playing these chords. I just get on with a drum beat. Adam comes in late to practice and joins in on it. I mean, it sometimes something that we're jamming on before practice, just warming up, turns into something serious. So.
Well, the other thing is too is like even with covers, you know, we're playing other people's music. It's like we'll try to do our own twist to it, make it a muter, and we'll try to, you know, if there's a guitar solo, maybe we'll change it up into a different.
Totally play it a little faster than it was put on the album.
You know, we put our own touch on it. We put our own touch, even on you know, on covers that, you know, everyone
we do a U2 cover and we smash 2 songs together, and
yeah, we did.
We use like one of the choruses that they do, With or Without You, and we added streets. We slow it down, and you know, we always like to kind of, like he said, I know it's not really a word, but like immuterize the song. We like to make it our own. It's like, if you want to speed it up a little bit or change something, or don't play the exact solo, I think it goes a long way. Like I said, just being creative and staying on your toes, it really does help with everything.
When you're going out playing live, I mean, you know, do you have a standard set list? Are you revising the set list all the time? You're thinking, let's start with this, let's do something different tonight?
We usually
revised a little bit.
It gets
tweaks here and there, and like, you know, new songs will get pushed in, or we'll take some songs out. I mean, there was one show where we were like prepared to do a certain amount of songs, and then we were like, oh, we're actually going over what we planned on, but that's okay because we have them in like the vault, you know, of like what we're gonna, just in case we need to play more songs. So there was one night I think we played like 35, 36 songs, and I was impressed.
We pulled like 6 of them out from like, we hadn't played 6 of them in over a year, and it's cool that like everybody was like, you know, that like everybody on one of the songs was like, oh God, I don't know if I remember that. And it was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's play it. And it kept us all on our toes.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that part of the fun? Like, just throw it out there. Like, well, let's see if we can still do that one.
Oh yeah,
that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
And I think even between us, I think well, sometimes we'll just start playing something, and just even if one of the other guys doesn't know it, it's almost like hot potato. Here you go. Like we'll just give it a shot, see what happens. But
even on the Paul Santos show, sometimes they'd be like, "Yo, play this one." I'm like, "I don't know it. I don't know it." In the middle of one of his skits, I'm over there on iTunes, listen to it. All right, I got it. Let's play.
Don't. It's like, oh, we're in it.
Let's play it.
We have one rule though. We always start with "Any Way You Want It" by Journey, and we always end with "Immuter" by us. That's like always our number one, and then pretty much anything happens between there is like
so you got your bookends.
Yeah. Unless it really does depend on the venue too, because like we played Wheaton College this year, and like that was the funnest one of our funnest and so like it depends on the venue. Like some venues, they want to hear original music, we'll just only do our original songs. But there's a lot of other venues that, you know, we go there and you know, it's a mix, or it's mostly covers.
And usually we usually like for the most part, like with all these bar gigs, they let you play a couple here and there. So like right now we just dropped that 4-song EP. So the last couple shows we've played all the songs on the EP, you know, play 5-6 covers, throw in, hey guys, this is one of our songs that's out right now. And like I said, it keeps everybody there, and we love to jam.
It's fun.
It really is. It's fun.
I'm wondering with the covers, like, I mean, is that part of building the chemistry as a band? Is that they're like that shared vocabulary of these songs that we really love to play that they're not ours?
You know, I'll give one example of like a song that's really. Well, we love Coldplay. Like all 4 of us love Coldplay. So when we play live, we usually do at least one, maybe 2 Coldplay songs. And you know, I feel like when we jam out and we create like a new intro for like one of them, I think it was Speed of Sound that we were doing, and it feels very almost like we were making a new Immuter song without realizing it. And it's just really cool to like explore that creativity with other people's music, but tweak it and be like, oh, well, what if we, add something in the beginning or extend it out in the end and just make it our own.
And with the covers, I think like for all the like, I love the 80s and 70s. Like my parents, I'm stuck in the 80s music. Like Hurley and Adam, they love like Red Hot Chili Peppers. He likes metal music. Danny likes the indie, the Van Halen. So I think for like cover wise, it gives us like a big broad spectrum where like, hey, let's play this song. Like, oh, I didn't even think of that song. And like, it really makes for a good set list. And, obviously for different places, you have to play different songs. So like if they're requesting a lot of 80s music, you get that. But for like everybody's genre and liking, it's kind of cool because it ends up coming together as a good mix because of all the different years and the different genres that we all, really like our own.
A few times though where it's been pulling teeth with them. Because there's a few songs that I've said we should do covers, and they'll be like, "No, we're not doing that." Enter Sandman, Give It Away.
And the funniest part is we play them all now. So
yeah, we play them all now, and then they love them. They absolutely like, dude. I was
but you're not batting 100 with that either.
You really
okay? Because
there's a few songs I'm still fighting.
You want to play like Korn and stuff?
No, I don't want.
But I'm not a
screamer. I remember what was it? Egyptian. Yeah, Walk Like an Egyptian.
Oh my god,
he wouldn't let it go.
It's basically.
I think we would kill that. I still to this day think we would kill that.
We would too, honestly.
Basically, it's
you could kill it at a solo game.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I begged for weeks, bro, even months, to do Man in the Box, and like they would not.
My dad even wanted that.
And then we finally played Man in the Box after me begging for months, and now like Ross and I can't wait to play that song. We can't wait to put that in to get to
yeah. You got it.
No, that's one song I refuse to do. I refuse to do Faith. Oh, dude. But yeah, that's pretty much. It's like very once in a while. Like out of 30 songs, one of them will be like a little bit of a please, and then the rest are like, yeah, it's cool.
It's Christmas time, so we feel bad. We'll play.
I bring up songs around this time of year.
I do want to talk about the EP. Ross mentioned it a few minutes ago, Punch Drunk Lullabies. This is your first EP recording as a band, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the process of putting it together?
Luckily, Vasquez, and especially his dad, Mr. Vasquez, who's I'm looking at right now, handsome son of a gun, we just make all of our scratch tracks in-house instead of like, dropping like hundreds at the studio to do it. And pretty much like we go to the studio when we are like 100% ready to like bang out a song within like realistically 3 days cumulatively of work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it might be a few weeks, but cumulatively hours wise, it's 3-4 days of true work. But we go 3 hours here, 5 hours there, a whole day here.
And because, like Ross has mentioned, we all have pretty intense schedules. We try and get as much done at home as we can so that when we go to the studio, it's just quality time. And I remember going up and for one of the last sessions.
Shout out Kenny Lewis.
Yeah, Kenny. Well, I'll get to Kenny. I remember like I got my 100. We got I got my bass track done 2 songs within like a half an hour. And that was just because like that's on the level of preparedness that like we are as a band. Like we come in ready to do everything we do. And when, like I think I had mentioned to you that like some of the songs have like 50 guitar tracks. And even though there's so many layers and everything, Vasquez and Hurley can do all of it within a day or two worth of work. And we just get everything done as fast as possible, but it's always like at a tempo where it's still quality. Ross comes in, he lays down the drum tracks, and then I come in with the bass, and then that's it. These two, for the audio listeners, singer Vasquez and Hurley, they just take the reins from there, and it's a cakewalk.
Yeah, and then most of the time is the longest part of the process is definitely like the mixing and mastering, and and that's when we got to give a shout out to our man Kenny Lewis, who's the guy who.
The guy behind the scenes who produced it.
Yeah.
He's worked with some big people, and we were fortunate enough to.
Great guy, love that guy.
Fortunate enough to be able to. Yeah, Adam, you can tell him the story because this is actually kind of cool and interesting.
Yeah. So, I through my job, I became friends with the bass player of the band Boston, Tracy Ferry. and he was doing a seminar at my studio, and I wasn't able to attend it because I was actually working, and he was doing the call on or the conference over a Zoom call because it was still like COVID at the time. So I had asked my boss. I said, "Hey, is there any way I can contact Tracy because I want to hear what he had to say? I want to get everything." So she's like, "Yeah, I'll give you his number and everything." I talked to him, and because he's a wicked sweet dude, he actually invited me to his house. And when he invited me to his house, he gave me the tour and everything, explained all of being in Boston and everything. He gave me the seminar, and then I asked him, I was like, "Hey, man, do you have anybody that you could recommend to record some music?" And he's like, "I don't really know. Like, I don't know." And then I said, "Well, what if I show you some of our stuff and you can tell me what you think then?" So I went out to my car, got my CD with our. Actually, the CD that I grabbed was a Christmas gift from Hurley, and it's just literally our music. CDR with Immuter and Sharpie on the front.
He doesn't
it's very
even send emails. He writes letters.
yeah, smoke signals.
He basically he's basically spent his days handing out a bunch of floppy disks.
So after he heard the songs, he was like, "Oh, I got a guy for you." So then he tells me to add this guy on Facebook. No idea who he is. I send them a request, and then I said, "Hey, Tracy Perry told me to get in contact with you about recording a song." And then he goes, "Is Tracy on the record?" And I said, "No." And then he's like, "Okay, join this." He gives me a Zoom link. We talked for 3-4 hours, which if you know Kenny, like that's just how he is. Like the guy loves talking to you. He's a very heartfelt dude. He loves like just telling all this cool stuff.
He's passionate.
It's amazing because like the people that he's worked with, and I mean I'm not gonna go on, but it's like he's worked with so many people. Santana.
If anybody's famous and a musician, he's probably worked with them.
Talking Steven Tyler, Neil Sean from Journey, like anybody you could think of, he's worked with, and
Dude,
Motley Crue, like he's been so passionate about music, and like he's literally traveled the world. He used to be the sound guy for the Christian like metal rock band Striper. He was the guy.
Oh yeah.
He was the guy that did all their sound, live sound, recording. He was on the tour bus with those guys for years.
And I know for a fact you've heard something that he's produced, the $5 foot long.
Oh yeah, but
that's him. He produced that. That was him.
But he's got a number one Billboard song that was back in what was it, in the 70s or the 80s with Freddie Jackson or something like that. Definitely way before our time, but it was a number one Billboard song. He's got a bunch of other Billboard songs that were in the top 100, and anybody you could think of famous back in the day, he knows. And so he does have a lot of stories, and he's such
that's so awesome. I love
he's such a genuine guy,
passionate about what
he invites us to his home studio. He does all the stuff at his home studio, and what's 4 hours of work turns into 8 hours because we end up just shooting the shit with him.
Oh man, that's amazing.
But yeah, anyway, so after the call and everything, we just literally set dates and everything, and we went up to his house. I was taken aback, especially because I was like, you look at his house, it just looks like a normal house, and you go into the basement, and I'm like, damn, this is like
like $1 million worth of equipment.
But yeah, I was like, damn.
You go in there like you're like it's big time studio equipment.
It's a home studio name only.
Yeah, I mean, you show up at the house and you're like, wait, am I in the right place?
Yes.
Then you go around the back and like you go into like what I can only describe as like a psychopath's like murdering shit.
Yeah.
And then you walk inside and then you just hear like, I mean, if you're a musician, you just hear like the Angel just like, oh, like you see all of the equipment and everything, and you're like, this is where I'm going to spend.
And we're not technical with like studio equipment, but Danny's dad helps us out with sound, and he knows all that stuff. He's like, guys, you don't even know what's down here. Like I'm impressed. Like when he mics my drums up, when I tell you he's got $60,000 just worth of mics when I play one song on my drums, it's just I'm in awe when you see what's actually in there. And like I said, he's recorded everything, and it's such a professional sound, and it's so cool to have, to be working with somebody who's worked in the industry and with the names he's worked with for so long. He definitely, he's definitely an awesome addition to this EP and to, everything that we've done recording wise.
Well, the EP is awesome. Punch Drunk Lullabies, folks, find it out on all the usual streaming suspects. I think it's a tremendous piece of work. My next question is, what's next for you guys?
World domination.
Yes.
I was gonna say a new bassist, but I guess
Because speaking of world domination, we did get played in the UK. It was really cool. Sound Lab, shout out.
Shout out to Sound Labs UK. We they put us out on 2 different radio stations. The EP was playing. It actually did very well out there. The UK tends to love that alternative indie rock, and there was quite a few emails that were sent to us regarding the EP, and very great feedback. We have been placed on some of the public Spotify playlists, and not to say anything or to you on the horn, but it's like I'm very grateful when you got a song like one of these playlists is like at a 4% success rate. And like out of all of them, we got like half of them placed on the list.
Yeah,
it feels very good for us as a band.
It's a weird feeling when someone comes up to you after a show and they said, "Hey, I've heard this song before." It's a real strange, like
we had played when we said we played at Wheaton, we opened up for Jeremy Zucker for their spring concert, but 3 weeks prior we played our first show. We hosted an event that was outside, like in between all the dorm rooms by the water on their campus. And we had a good crowd come out, and like so many people came out to this show. They invited us back for like I said, it was like in the beginning of April, we played that outside show. The spring show was at the end of April. They were like that day, they were like, "We're going to get in touch with you. We want you guys back for spring break." We already have a main act. He's a headlining act all over the world.
Jeremy Zucker.
I mean, he's huge.
He's got 600 million views.
600 million views on Spotify.
One song. You know what I mean?
Travels the world. And so we opened up for him, but they asked us back, and it was so cool to see somebody in the crowd, like they were singing some words from the last show before, and like it's crazy because like we said, we would love to be famous, and hopefully one day we can speak about this being famous, but like it's crazy when you got to go to work in 2 days and like people at Wheaton are like lining up to get a picture and ask
or there's lines around the block.
Like they're asking you for a picture or just to shake your hand. Oh my God, I met the band. And we also just went to this convention out in Connecticut as a band. We went to it's called NACA, and it's like a national organization for like placement like at college campuses. So like colleges were there for like to book events for their shows, and it was a good turnout. I mean, I'm talking it was Philly, New Jersey, all the way to Missouri. They liked the music. We had a nice booth. We got, we made it all look very professional. We got posters made, and we were playing clips from previous shows, and we had a listening station with iPads for the new EP. We passed out real copies of CDs. So
we got a lot of good feedback.
Yeah, even just from that weekend, we probably say we saw 500 people that weekend. We had like 200 extra monthly listeners that following week on Spotify. So it was really cool, and like for people to say like, "Wow, I really enjoy your music. I'm really gonna," it's just it's a weird feeling. And like I said, to not even have made it yet, and people saying, "I've heard that song before," or "Hey, this is my favorite by you guys." It's cool. It's cool.
And as far as like future plans too, I think for next year we're already gearing up for more shows and flying back to the same places around New Bedford, but also maybe trying to branch out and go to other states.
Yeah, all the locations too around here because like the places that we played one time. I mean, now we see them. We played one time last year. We've already been hired for 6 shows at this place. They want us on a rotation at this place. So it's nice that, and it's really cool to also hear, like just talking back about the original music when you're at a venue and at the end of the show, it's like, hey, if you guys want to throw in a couple more originals next time, feel free. And it feels good because the response we get from the crowd, like a couple of the shows, at the end of the show, instead of doing like another cover as an encore, you hear people saying, play an original, play another original. And it's cool to hear because normally when you hear a local band say they're going to play an original song, you're like, oh, what am I going to get next?
Let's go to the bathroom.
Yeah, go to the bathroom. I'm gonna have
get another drink.
And the feedback that we've gotten is tremendous, and we're truly blessed.
I can't even count the number of times people have like said something along the lines of like, "Oh, you guys should just play more of your originals. Like that was the best stuff you played tonight."
Yeah,
you know.
That's
So
nice
I'm like, hell yeah, I agree. You know.
And like we're still promoting the EP right now, but it's not to say that like next year we might drop something, whether it's another song.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to try to keep the momentum going. I know for me, one thing that I want to keep pushing forward or pushing towards is like kind of the next level in like venues. Like I mean, we play a lot around here locally, and before COVID, we were out in Boston and Cambridge a lot. But like basically kind of going from like pubs and bars to like maybe opening up for like slightly bigger bands at like actual music venues would be really cool.
Maybe Middle East or something.
Yeah, Middle East.
We played the Vault, the Greasy Luck twice, and that was a great experience for us. And Wheaton College was another great experience, playing in front of more people. But we
college gave you like a taste of fame,
right? Exactly.
That was so cool. Like seeing 400 or 500 people screaming for you guys to play more songs.
And
definitely,
I don't even care too much about being. I just like I just kind of like getting out there and just playing this stuff. Anything that lets me play in front of people.
Exactly. Even though, like you said, the Paul was a commitment and stuff. Yeah, the setup sucks, but it's so hard for us to turn down playing anywhere. We just love playing so much. Like, yes, we make money playing shows, but like I swear these guys would do something. We would all do something for free. We just love music. We've done parties for a good cause for free.
When we started off, most of our gigs were for nothing. Like at Union Tavern.
Yeah, like all the Boston gigs we'd play for like it was like the 11 to 12, 2 hours away in front of 7 people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's nice to see that now we're at a point where, you got a crowd from start to finish. They're asking you to play more. They're giving you standing ovations on like classic cover songs, coming up to you saying, that's the best one. That's the best cover of this I've heard. And it just feels good. And I think it's a little different because you see 4 young kids on stage. And I know I could speak for these guys when we played at the, sometimes we played at like the PA, the VFW, some of these pubs where there's an older crowd there and they're like, oh God, what are these four kids going to play up here? And when we play the Dire Straits, the Journeys, the U2s, it's like, wow, these kids, it's nice to see kids our age still playing that kind of music.
And we love our fans too. We have a lot of our same regular fans come to all of our shows, and we love the family, friends, and we love, the people that have stuck by us and stay. That's awesome. But we also still play in front of a lot of new people too. When we play like a different place, like maybe Knuckleheads or Strikers, it's like a different audience. And so when we get those new people coming up to us, you really tend to like see the difference of like, oh, like there's no bias at all because you don't know me at all. And those compliments, I mean, every compliment goes a long way, but it's
when you hear a complete stranger say like, hey, can we hear more of your music? It's really cool. And like I said, I mean, obviously not everywhere, but especially at that college when I got to wake up in 2 days at 3 a.m. to go dig holes and put fences in. And these people are waiting in line for a picture and a handshake with us. It's cool. Like, it's just cool that, our music could go out there and touch people because we love it. We love it so much. It's not more of a job. It's for fun. We really do. We enjoy everything we do.
Guys, is there anything we haven't covered that you'd like to talk about?
I'm going to be posting an application in a couple of days for a new bassist. I mentioned it before. Basically, if you can fit. No, I'm kidding.
Don't show up in a suit.
Exactly.
Don't wear a wool coat. Nothing against wool coats.
Poor Adam.
All right.
And a beret.
For clarification, the reason I was wearing that is because I had a show at UMass.
No, and I forgot to put that in.
Like I don't just walk around in suits.
No, it looked like he was going to. He was going to sing at the choir.
Walk around in sleeveless vests.
Yeah,
I went from our bass player and our accountant.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's pretty much it, man.
And I want to give a big shout out to you. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you,
my pleasure, guys.
There's a few people who should actually shout out, like Concept, Paul.
Shout out
Mr. Vasquez.
Shout out Mr. and Mr. B, because in the end of the day, for the last couple of years, he's studied sound. So he does all our sound. So we could play we could be the best band in the world, but without a speaker system to plug into and a mic to sing in,
we got my parents.
we
over here,
can't do it
my
without
mom's
these. I'm going to give one more shout out, Mr. We call him Dan Lux, and he's
the
third Dan
in the band.
third Dan in the band, and he also does sound. And Mr. Vasquez has been teaching him the last couple months, and it's just without these guys, like I said, you could be the best band in the world, but without something to plug into and something to sing into, you can't be a good band. So
We also wouldn't have any idea how to do that stuff.
yeah, we would not
A lot of acoustics.
Shout out to Kenny Lewis, our producer and the engineer and all that. But also special shout out to all the people that came out to the very first show. Yikes, that was rough at the bandstand. That was before Adam, by the way. So
I was in the crowd.
Adam was in the crowd watching us.
Late as usual.
Hey, to be fair, the kid I was rolling with had decided that he needed 2 entrees and 3 desserts at Pub 99. And that's
He
why
went out for dinner by himself.
Yeah.
I love Adam that you have to explain that all these years later. They won't let you off the hook.
Oh, no, they won't.
No.
Well, guys, fantastic conversation. Looking forward to what you do in 2023. It's great chatting with you. Thanks for joining us for another In Focus podcast, which is generously sponsored in part by Heavenly Spirits Importers and funded in part with grants from the New Bedford Cultural Council and the Fairhaven Cultural Council, local agencies supported by the Mass Cultural Council, a state agency. I'm Scott Bishop, and thanks for listening to the Artists Index.